Hey folks, I'm Brendan, and you're watching the Overqualified Henchman. Today's topic, why you're probably using the term Mary Sue incorrectly and really need to stop. Like a lot of things in fandom, the term Mary Sue can be tracked back to Star Trek, the original series. Specifically, a story published in a fan magazine in the 1970s featuring a character named Lieutenant Mary Sue. The youngest lieutenant in Starfleet at only 15 and a half years old. What usually gets left out of that secret origin is that story was a parody of a particular type of character that the author and publisher of the magazine thought was too prevalent in fan fiction at the time. Do you know who writes stories about 15 and a half year old girls? 15 and a half year old girls! Anybody who's written anything has some stuff from when they were a teenager that's pretty hot garbage. But these adult fans figured, it wasn't hard enough to be a girl in the 1970s who watched Star Trek and was an aspiring writer, so they decided to spend actual time and money to publicly ridicule them. That's messed up, right? And if older fans getting salty about the youths enjoying a show where cheerfully color-coded character archetypes learn important lessons about tolerance and friendship sounds familiar, well, what makes a character a Mary Sue? The short version is that a Mary Sue is a character who's just too damn special. Smoother than Kirk and smarter than Bones and more fascinating than Mr. Spock. They might have specific physical traits that draw attention to how special they are. Oddly colored hair or eyes, a distinctive facial scar. If they've got any flaws, they're the sort of things you'd mention in a job interview. Well, I think my greatest weakness is that I sometimes work too hard. Not surprisingly, they're universally beloved by the other characters in the story, typically entering into a romantic relationship with at least one of them. I think the thing that bothers people the most about Mary Sue characters, though, is that they get to be an exception. They have two special powers when everybody else only has one. They're the sixth member of a five-member team. They break the rules, and in doing so, they remind us that those rules were only ever made up to begin with. All of that sounds pretty bad. We should definitely never allow characters with all of those qualities. Except that I just described all of your favorite heroes. Let's talk the Batman. Literally the best at everything, a master of every conceivable skill, a gadget for every conceivable situation. No powers? No problem. He's still considered one of the most dangerous members of the Justice League. What about the Doctor? Super special, last of his kind snowflake, defeats entire alien invasions single-handed, has all the powers and abilities of a charming British man. Harry Potter starts his career by surviving the Killing Curse, a curse with killing in the name. He's a child who's easily able to fight off older and more experienced wizards, and that's not even talking about his lightning bolt-shaped scar. The most badass possible shape for a scar. We can keep going back. The Lone Ranger, Sherlock Holmes, Gilgamesh. Protagonists get to be special. It's why we're telling their story and not somebody else's. Sure, you can overdo it, they can be poorly written, but just being skilled or powerful doesn't make a character a bad character. Which is convenient, because nobody calls those characters Mary Sues anyway. Because you know which characters do get called Mary Sues? The ones who aren't white, and especially the ones who aren't male. Oh yeah, you thought this was going to be a fun video about girls with pink and purple hair. Well, buckle up, Buttercup. I'll give you an example. Batman and Black Panther. They're both animal-themed rich guys with martial arts training, physical conditioning, and a boatload of resources. But when writers try to have Black Panther do a fraction of the stuff that Batman gets away with regularly, there's a certain type of fan who trips all over himself to say, "That's unrealistic." Guys, he's the king of a fictional nation with wealth built on vibranium, a made-up metal with special vibrating powers. The fact that he can punch as good as Captain America probably shouldn't be a deal breaker. There's even more of a double standard for female protagonists. The thing that got me thinking about this in the first place were some of the reactions I heard about Rey from Star Wars: The Force Awakens. "Oh, she's such a Mary Sue. She can fly the Millennium Falcon and fight with a lightsaber." Rah. That is every character in Star Wars. They're all great pilots, great fighters, and that's not even getting into the ones who are literally space magic. Now look, maybe you don't like Anakin, you don't like Luke, and you don't like Rey. I'd argue that you probably just don't like Star Wars at all at that point, which is crazy talk, but hey, legitimate opinion. If the only character you have a problem with, though, is Rey, I think you really need to step back and examine why that is. I don't think it's something people do on purpose, and it's worth saying that I hear the term Mary Sue thrown around by male and female fans alike. The problem is that the protagonists that we're familiar with, that we grew up with, are overwhelmingly white and male. So when people see a character like Rey, it makes them stop and think, and it makes some of those people uncomfortable, and it makes the loudest of those people start shouting Mary Sue. And it's a vicious cycle too, right? Because the idea of a Mary Sue makes creators reluctant to write powerful, skilled female characters, so we never get used to the idea of them. And frankly, it's embarrassing for everyone involved. So, what have we learned? The term Mary Sue originates from the same decade that thought disco was a good idea. Young writers, particularly young female writers, should be encouraged, not ridiculed. And Ray is bae. Thanks for watching. You'll find lots more geeky stuff at the Overqualified Henchman in the weeks to come, so make sure to subscribe. In the meantime, keep on henching. Would you hire me? I'd hire me.